Hello, I am Ilona, and it is time for this video. There is a small village in Latgale, eastern Latvia, called Sutri. And there is also this ancient town in Italy called Sutri. Well, apparently one of the oldest towns in Italy, actually. And what connects these two places? Is there any connection? And this is really interesting. So the answer begins in 1812. And yes, it involves soldiers who marched into Russia and never came back home. Uh, yes, some of them died, but some of them decided to stay where they were. I don't want to go too much into the details of this Napoleon Wars and everything. It's not my expertise, of course, but also I am not really much interested in wars and battles and stuff. This is really not for me. I am more interested in something more human related to our regular lives. And this I find the story really kind of interesting. This road for Napoleon's army went through what is now Latvia also, yes, and specifically through the Daugavpils, which was then called Dinaburg. And there still is this Dinaburg fortress, which was attacked. And on the retreat, I guess, most likely, yes, when the army was, well, defeated. And they were going back, scattered in smaller groups, taking whatever roads they could find. And and I think it was in winter, yes. There is a story from generations ago from a person who is I don't know now actually if she was really my ancestor or she was just relative, but she was telling stories how she saw this army. Well, obviously not to me, but more like I think to my grandparents when they were children, something like, yes, long time ago. And interestingly, how she referred to them as poor French who were suffering. So they were not seen even as like some kind of enemies. Yes, French, because French army, obviously, regular peasants somewhere in Latgale, they didn't knew maybe difference or they didn't care. French, Italian doesn't matter, at least for some regular people who didn't really had any maybe relationships with them, but some maybe did. Latvia at that time was part of Russian Empire, but it was not like they were feeling themselves as Russians or something. And they were led to stay there. So there in this story it says how some of them just wanted to die in that cemetery, which is my family's cemetery, literally one of them. And think about what going home meant for few of these soldiers in this winter, which was like how many thousands kilometers away? No money, no documents, no nothing. So this journey itself was already quite dangerous. So they found a place where they could stay. And also, we don't know if they had anyone at home who were waiting for them. Well, maybe they could have even wives and children who never saw them coming back. They didn't know what happened to their family members. They assumed maybe they were killed in war. Yeah. And what is interesting for Italian soldiers when they reached Latgale, what they found there was a lot of familiar things actually. For example, Catholic churches, because Latgale still is very, well, it's a Catholic region, same as like Lithuania and Poland, if compared to like Orthodox Russia when they went back. Latgale maybe looked even somewhat familiar. This wouldn't be the worst place to stay. But and also another interesting thing how these people could communicate. Yes, locals didn't speak Italian, and the Italians didn't speak Latvian, but there was this bridge Latin. No. Latgalians also didn't speak Latin, most of them regular peasants. But you could hear the language in church. In church, the Latin language was still widely used. Even I remember some prayers where we had a lot of Latin words, actually. And like 200 years ago, even more. And I think very possible that local priest, had which knew the Latin language at least to some extent. So I imagine how maybe even church could be like this kind of place where these people could connect and communicate. Also, what is the important Italians as Catholics and local people, Catholics, the marriage between these people would be seen as absolutely normal. They were, because at that time it was very important. Uh, People didn't look so much at ethnicities, but at religions. That's why a lot of Polish people, for example, married also with locals, and that's how I have Polish ancestors. So about this village specifically, Sutria, and apparently there is another small village like this. One important thing: this village was already in this map, 1850s something. I don't know how old that village is. It could have been there before. Yes, it can be just coincidence, or there were enough people who could name it after a town in Italy. Maybe I don't know that it even established as a noticeable size village that they put it on the map. Mm, I don't know. Everything can happen. Uh, Also, I don't want to talk about some kind of possibilities. What could happen? Let's look at these surnames. Um, which are just found in the area and could be from Italian surnames or names, because these are rare surnames. They are just in that area and not a lot of people. So there are things which could. Well, I mean, it does also. It's not like this is something absolutely unbelievable story. What could never happen? These kind of things happen all the time, everywhere. So there is nothing even, if you think about it, nothing even extraordinary. And also there was this kind of like this image of Mary Madonna, something from this place, uh, which how it appeared there is another mystery. They placed it somewhere in the chapel. I don't know. I never visited that place specifically. I don't know what the chapel is and where it is. But how that image could appear there? Mm, there are no many explanations actually. Also, maybe important addition. I forgot as I somehow assumed that this definitely these people. Uh, Supposedly Italians, arrived or stayed after Napoleon's army. I don't have any confirmation about that specifically. These Italians could arrived earlier for many different reasons. So this is more like this legend or assumption, not just by me. There is actually another layer. I was still working on this video and still continuing to do some research. I found in this census from Russian Empire few of these families with these kind of like Italian surnames. But another thing what I found, which is really weird, and I realized that it's not like they just decided to stay in a place because they were too tired or too injured, which also most likely was the case. And why locals didn't saw them as enemies, not just because they didn't care much about a war between France and Russia. Apparently, I found this family, which was kind of like noble family, and here is this person, his name is Napoleon, and he was born already like 40 something, 46 years after the campaign. And apparently, a lot of Polish people at the time actually saw Napoleon and his army not as the invaders and not as just someone else's war, random people passing by, but actually as liberators. And this makes it all even more interesting. It is even possible that some of these more richer noble families even were involved, not just regular peasants, not just church, but some of these families with money and resources who even maybe helped some of these soldiers to treat them. Maybe, who knows, maybe they even had like this some kind of hospitals in their, like these huge houses, like manors or whatever you call them. So there could be a lot of different interesting things happening at that time. This is the story I wanted to tell you about how sometimes what happens because of wars. We can see it even now. And yes, the fact that, okay, some people died, but how many returned, I even don't know if they did. Imagine these families in Italy or France, whatever, where their, well, children, sons, maybe husbands, fathers, they were taken, and most of them never returned. And the family, they had no idea what happened to them. Oh, well, maybe at some point they were able to send a letter or something. But yes, they found new life. I don't know how many were there. At least three, according to these surnames. Could be, yeah. That's just Italians. Maybe there were also other people with other backgrounds. Yeah, but thanks for watching and goodbye.